Okay, hey guys, this is Karam Pal, Potentialpreneur. Today we have amazing guest with us. He is Shubhankar Storyteller. So he will, guide us to how to build a brand with $0. So I'm really excited for the discussion and welcome Shubhankar to the Karam show. I'm pleased to have you on my show. Thank you so much for joining, Shubhankar.
Thank you for having me here, and I'm super excited. Yes, so today with you, I'm going to be sharing you how can you take your incredible and inspiring story and build a profitable brand around it with like ₹0 without spending a single rupee or not even a website or any paid strategies. How could you build a brand? That's what we'll be discussing today.
Yes, Subhankar, first of all, we would like to hear your story. So, how did you get started and what challenges did you face and how did you resolve them?
Okay, so one of the things I always the whole journey of mine began, I would say, is I was born in a teacher's family. So teaching was in my DNA. My mom was a teacher, my granddad was a teacher, my uncle was a teacher, my grandmother was a teacher. So I was seeing teaching every day, and I was like helping out people. And one of the things was I was raised by a single mother. So even though we were all teachers, we were always broke. I watched this. I was seeing this. People would come and say, "Okay, this is the professor's house, but we are always broke." After 20th of the month, things were horrible. And then at the age of 17, my granddad, who was the head of the house, he passed away. So I had to take responsibilities. That's when I got my first job. At 17, I used to sell popcorn at PVR. I used to clean plates over there. And at the same time, what I did is I would work extra time. I would work overtime. If my shift was from 9 to 10 to 4, I would work 2 hours more and I wouldn't get paid. But what I would get is I would get tips. I would do seed surveys. That's where I started accumulating money. That was one of my first sales lessons. So I took that money and I took a course in graphology, handwriting analysis, because I like people and I started teaching people handwriting analysis. At 18, I needed to support more. So I was working as a door-to-door salesman. I would go knocking on doors. I was selling membership to a horse trading academy, right? They were like pretty high
Okay.
ticket. And at
Mhm.
the same time, I got my first certification NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. Then I had figured out my relatives then gave me some fees. They all arranged it and say, okay, let us help with this education. I got into college. In engineering college, I realized this is not gonna get forward. This stuff is not gonna take me forward. I need to do something. I need to figure out what is my thing. So that's when I started doing a lot of other things. One thing I got into was rap music. So since I was a kid, I was good with stories. I would read a lot of stories. My mom would sit and say, read books. We didn't have a TV in our house since the last time we had a TV in our house was at third standard. So read books, read this novel. So I was at rap music. I gave a shot at modeling. But at the same time, after college, what I would do is I'd go to college in the mornings. Evening, I would go to, let's say my college was 15 kilometers that side. After college, I travel in the opposite direction for another 30 kilometers, teach people
Okay.
there something, sleep in the bus stop if it was like really late, and then come back next day. So this teaching thing was going on and on. When I was around 19, 20, I was diagnosed with clinical depression and things were horrible. I was taken to like a private mental asylum kind of thing. I was given prescription pills. I was addicted to it. And I thought one day, if I ever make my way out of this, I'm going to make a life which is helping people. But I didn't know how. But I knew two things better than anyone. I knew I could teach because it was in my DNA. I could out story tell anybody out there. So and after my final year, what I did is I took my resume for it. So as I was
Yeah, no
saying,
problem.
I had a truckload of certifications. I had an NLP, I had in graphology, I had in so many other things. I took the certificate to 21 training, 16 training companies. They all kicked me out saying you're young. And then I went to 5 call centers and like, hey, please give me some job. I need to feed my family. I had an old grandmother, I had an uncle, I had my mom. I got rejected from call centers. And this time I was like, oh, what do I do, man? I know nothing over here. And then finally I got into a training company where there was a free workshop on Train the Trainer. I got there and I enrolled for the next level program. We didn't have money. I came back to my grandmother and asked, hey, can you please figure out a way to get me 15,000 rupees. She gave me her earrings and said, "Hey, take this when it's possible. Just get me back from it." So after that, doing the 5 day program, I realized this is not done. The same company I joined as a telecaller, and from a telecaller, I became a content writer, a content developer, and I became a marketing guy. I would started DMing people, closing people. Then I slowly took over a role like a kind of a manager role. And one day, as the CEO, "Hey, can you give me a 15-minute training slot in the train the trainer program you do?" He's like, "Sure, what will you teach?" I was like, "I'm going to teach them accelerated learning." So I taught them how to, one thing I really knew is how to tell stories and write a song in 15 minutes. These guys had never written a song before in 15 minutes. And I told, "Hey, using the same strategy, you can use it in your training." So 15 became 20, 30, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, since 1 hour, 2 hours. That's how I climbed up, and I figured out one thing: I could out storytell anybody out there. I just had this gift. I could coach and out storytell. After getting out of the company, I want to do something on my own, and this is where the actual stuff started. I was like, what do I do? I did what every other freelancer would do: go to Urban Pro, find people, ask them, I'll do a free session, go to English speaking centers, try to collaborate, do a partnership deal like 30-60. This went on for 1.5 years. On December 2019 and January 2020, disaster struck. I was dead broke. So what actually happened was that, so what I was doing at that moment was December 2019 and January 2020. I was dead broke. I was doing this collaboration things. I had gotten into deals where I had no clue I was getting into exclusivity deals, and I was 9,000 in debt, and my grandmother was diagnosed with dementia. I was like, what do I do right now? And I was at rock bottom. I was so desperate, and I thought, what can I do with 0 rupees, man? What can I do with 0 rupees? My biggest problem is I'm really talented, but nobody knows me. I
Hmm.
have all the qualifications, but they don't trust me. I want to offer them services, but they don't pay for me. All because I'm a nobody. In spite of all the certifications, I'm a nobody. I don't have a brand. That's when I came across this amazing book. So one day I was sitting, I don't know when I had ordered. I got this book on Amazon. I had ordered it long ago, but I had forgotten. It was called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Okay.
And that's when I realized this is everything I want to do. It has story, but I
Hmm.
don't know how to build a brand. It has how to build a brand. I took this book and I launched my own brand on February 2nd. And it was going really, really great. In my first 45, 55 days, I made close to 1.35 lakhs, which right now it's not that much, but for a 22-year-old who's like 9,000 in debt, well, that is like, oh, that's a huge leap. And as I started building my brand, people started coming, "Hey, dude, you know what? I see you're doing something." And it's the same time coronavirus pandemic hit. People are like, "Dude, you need to
Yes.
build an online brand. Teach me also, teach me also." So I took my first 3 people and told, along with a coaching program, I want to build a community. I want to build a community which I didn't have. And all of them had one thing, that incredibly inspiring stories. So I started with 3 people, and then one more and one more and one more. So I scaled up. So near my house, there was this 17-year-old kid who used to work out with me in the gym, right? And his college life was horrible. The
Okay.
head teachers hated him. He flunked in college. He met me and said, "I can't do this. I see what you're doing. I want to do it." I'm like, "Do you know how to design posters?" It's like, "Yes, I know. Like, come join me." That was the first intern I hired.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
and then someone told me, "Dude, who designs your poster, man? We wanted to we want the same designer too." It's like, we got something here. And I told him, "Go work for them, keep majority of the money, just keep me, if you make more than this much amount, give it to me." And it went on. And then I realized something: we need one more person because work is getting more. So I went to internship and to hire one content writer. So instead of hiring one content writer, I hired 2 people, a content writer and a digital marketer. So we were a team of 4 people then.
Okay.
And then I came back. And then recently I realized I want to tell stories, but too many people's stories to tell. So I hired a storyteller now. So this is my journey. Everything just fell into place. And yeah, this is how it happened. Now I want to focus only on experts because I've come from a teacher's family. I've seen their trainers, coaches, and mostly therapists, healers, whoever in that zone. I resonate to them so much because I come from that family and I feel that they deserve a lot more. So yeah, that's what I do. Help them build a profitable brand around their story with 0 rupees. That's the first criteria to work with me. You gotta have an inspiring story. So yeah.
Yes, that's really inspiring story, Subhankar. You did so many things, right? So in the
Yeah,
call center, there and there. So it's very difficult, switch the jobs or switch find the jobs in such a
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So my first question is like building brand is very tough. Like companies invest lot of money to
Yeah,
build the brand and to rebuild the brand.
yeah.
So how you can help? What is the strategy you follow to build the brand in $0?
Okay. So when we talk usually about brands, I talk about personal story branding. I help people build brands. So one is people building brands, one is companies building brands. Okay. So
Okay.
companies building brand is something huge. But coming to people building brands, the first principle which I want to share people is this. One of my mentors told me this. Think of branding as a fragrance. Okay, perfume. It
Okay.
walks into the room before you go into the room. It stays in the room after you leave the room. So the
Oh,
question is,
that is amazing. Yes.
yes, told me this. I repeat it. Brand is like a perfume. It comes into the room before you come and walk into the room, but it stays in the room after you leave it. That is what a brand is. So the question is, how do you build that presence? The
Mhm.
first lesson is simple. The first lesson is, we call it VCP. This is the basic, it's cliche. Visibility equals credibility, credibility equals profitability. The first and foremost thing is a three-step process which I shared recently. First thing is find your ideal target audience of 10,000 people. You need to have clarity about in front of whom do you want to build a brand. Okay,
Mhm.
once you figure out whom do you want to build a brand, you need to go in front of them and you need to be as visible as possible. As visible as possible, because visibility creates familiarity. When you've seen people 10 times, it builds credibility. And once you're credible, it builds profitability. That's the first thing. Find your audience of 10,000 people. Once you find their people, you need to build a deeper connection with them. That's where you share your story, you share your authenticity, you share, hey, this is my story. I also understand how you're feeling, right? You also have a story similar to mine. Once you build connection, you build, so you need to have three things there: empathy, authority, and trust. They should empathize with you, they should trust you, but they should also look at you as an authority. The third and foremost thing is you need to have what I call the holy path. How can you help those 10,000 people? It's like, you know who your 10,000 people are. They've seen you enough times. They trust you. They look at you as an authority, and they also know that you understand their pain. The last part is how can you help them? This is where the brand messaging comes. I usually tell this, from their hell to heaven. Take them from their hell to heaven. So these are the three components. And to do these things, you would not require a single rupee. Just by leveraging social media right now, you could build a brand even without a website. Though it is advised, let's say someone starting from rock bottom, you can be visible on Google without a website. So this is the three main steps. Find your target audience of 10,000 people and be as visible as possible in front of them. Put out content, connect with them, DM them, form your community, and most importantly, share your story. So once you do that, then I call them the holy path. Show them the holy path. What is it? Like, hey, this is your hell. I'm going to take you to your heaven. This is your aspiration. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. And I can do it because I have done it for me and my clients before. So this is the basic framework, the three things: the ideal target audience, the perfect target audience, the perfect story, and the perfect holy path. This is the top. This is the three-step strategy. I've broken the whole one. After 1.5 years, I've broken this complex thing into something simple.
Okay. Okay, Subhankar, so why only 10,000? Why not? When we start out, so 10,000 looks a big number. So,
Yeah.
like, is that something like you can target for 10 people, then 20 people, then 100 people, then 1,000 people? So, why only 10,000?
Okay, that's a very good question. I initially I talk about this. Okay, so I got this 10,000 number from my mentor. Okay, one of the mentors I work with, his name is Mark Bownies, and he told, and at that time I had a number like I want to impact 1 million people because I was influenced by social media gurus and everything.
Mm.
And at the same time, deep inside, I didn't believe in it. So when I talked to him, he told me, hey, listen, if you want to change the world, build a community of 10,000 people.
Mm.
First milestone is building a community of 10,000 people, because once you hit 10,000 people, it will create a ripple effect. It's like a graph. It goes like this. At one point you hit, it goes like this. So the 10,000 is the first benchmark. So that is 100, 1,000 was very less. 100,000 and a million was like too much, which I didn't believe at that time. But 10,000 seemed perfect. Like, hey, 10,000 seems perfect. That's the first milestone. Of course, hey, after that, we want to impact as many people as you can, right?
Mm.
When I talk about 10,000 people, I don't talk about 10,000 people. I talk about helping 10,000 people with inspiring stories who genuinely design their brands, help 10,000 people launch their brands completely. Not like 10,000 people who came to my free session, right? So that's how I got the 10,000 number. And if we impact 10,000 people, the ripple effect is going to be more and it's going to reach to millions. So that's how I got the 10,000 number. So
Okay,
this is just my
that's
opinion. Yeah.
yeah. 10,000 people can be anywhere in the world, right?
Yeah.
So yes, yes. So amazing. In the world, you can find out
Yes.
10,000 people, no problem. Okay,
Yes.
okay, that's amazing. So when it comes to building the brand, so how we can like make one page, you know, one page, you can say brand building, building
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
brand and on the one page, like all the steps
Yes.
you discussed. But yeah, so how we can do that on one page so
Okay.
that we can have the clear cut path in our mind and then we
Okay.
go about it.
So what I'm going to share with you is something called the SB7 model. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, SB7 model is called Story Brand 7 model, and which I purely give credit to Donald Miller.
Mm.
He's the author of the book Building a Story Brand. I have made it into a 10 to 12 step, but his is more simpler. So
Okay.
what he says is every company or every individual, whoever wants to have a brand, needs to have a one-page brand plan. Not a complicated 10-page document, not a like
Mm.
a big Excel sheets with filled with things and everything. You just need to have a one-page brand plan. Okay? And you need to think of it as if you're telling a story. The whole
Mm.
brand messaging, that one-page brand plan, should be as if you're telling a story. Okay? So there are 7 steps. So you need to look at it as if you're telling a story. Imagine you're a movie. Okay? Imagine, let's build a brand for, let's say, a comb. Let's take an example of building a brand for a comb. I use combs a lot. I got really long hair. Okay.
Okay.
So the first part which you need to have while building a brand is the hero.
Mm.
The most important part of every story is the hero or the heroine. Okay. So you need to understand who's your target audience. So the whole concept is based on how do you make your audience feel like a hero. Okay. First is the character. Let's say I want to build a brand around this. I want to ask myself, whom do I want to make the hero of this story? Let's say I build a cool exclusively for people with really long hair. Like I got pretty long hair. Okay.
Yes.
The second part is we need to have a background for the hero, and the
Mm.
hero comes across some pain points. So let's build a background character for a hero. So the hero is a very rebellious person who wants to break society's norms, and one of the way he reflects that is growing incredibly long hair. That's the
Okay.
character of the first thing. The
Mm.
second part is the pain points. So the pain points are at 3 levels: internal, external, and philosophical. Okay, so
Mm.
what are the external pain points? Normal combs usually are designed for women, but exclusively for men with long hair. There are no specialized combs. At
Okay.
an emotional level, how does it make me feel? It makes me feel as if I'm excluded. I need to use lady products. At a philosophical, bigger level, yeah,
Okay.
at a bigger level, how does it make me feel? I feel, why is this stereotype against men? So we got 2 aspects of a brand. We got a hero with our background, and the second thing is we understood his problems. Third
Mm.
thing what we talk about is we talk a little about the journey. It's like
Mm.
this, which is I go in, let's say there is a hero, he has these problems, he goes in search of things,
Mm.
and he goes in search of solutions. The third most important part is he finds a mentor. Okay. And I would say for this, and then I come across a mentor who also had long hair. And the mentor
Mm.
had 2 things: he had empathy and he had authority. Empathy in the sense he had gone through what I had gone through. And the second part is he had authority. He had grown his hair from 20 years. So this is the third part of every one-page brand script you need to have. The mentor of the story. Let's say you want to build your brand, right? Let's say Karam Pal show wants to build a brand. The first step you need to do is have a background for yourself. Second step is the first step you need to do is understand who your target audience is. Second, understand their pain points. Third is you got to position yourself as a mentor over there. So for every brand design of a person, there needs to be a mentor. Okay. The fourth thing is the mentor provides a solution. The solution is, hey, I've got this exclusive comb which I personally got designed because I understand how you feel. I understand what challenges you go through. Then the mentor shows a solution. That's the fourth part. You need to have a solution. The fifth part is call to action. Okay, here is the solution. What action do you want to take to get the solution? What is the call to action? Let's say the call to action can be first get our, let's say, free guide or join our community of long-haired men so that you also be a part of this community. The sixth part is how does your success look like in every brand that should be designed. So once you buy this comb, you'll never have to ever worry about how will you take care of your hair, even though you're a man. This is exclusively for men, and most importantly, you're going to be a part of your community with similar-minded people. That's the sixth part. The last part is what will happen if you don't align with our brand, which is like, hey, if you don't align with our brand, you're going to go back to your same situation. You're going to be bullied. You're going to be all in your own. You'll go back to using ladies' products. So recapping everything. When I put out a brand messaging for this, I put out a messaging like this, which is something like, hey, if you're someone who's rebellious and okay, so it's okay. So just say I launched this like Infinity Home. How do I put out the brand messaging? I put it this way. If you're someone who's rebellious, who wants to break the norms of society, and how you did was grow your long hair. I understand how you feel. You tried looking for products, but you didn't look at it. You didn't find it. So you felt frustrated. You had to go to ladies' shops. People look at you weirdly and they stereotype you. I was also in the same situation. I found my mentor, and my mentor told me one thing: there is one exclusive product exclusively for men with long hair, right? And not just that, we also have our own community. I invite you to be a part of this community, because once you're a part of this community, along with taking care of your long hair, feeling manly, fighting the norms of society, you also get to be a part of people who are just like you. But I also understand if you don't want to be a part of it, you can go back to your same life, lead a miserable life, and feel not so manly enough. You see how we designed a simple brand messaging for this whole comb right now?
Yes, this is so amazing that you disclose the 7 steps, and in 7 steps we can build the brand. And this is I will also try to build the brand around these 7 points. So this is amazing.
Absolutely. It's
Yes.
just the 7 steps of brand. This is the one-page brand script. So based on this, you execute. You find your ideal target audience, you share your story, and you show them this one-page plan. And then boom, you launch your brand.
Yes, okay, that's wonderful. So when it comes to brand targets, so what targets we put for our brand, like 3 months target or 6 months, or how much we can,
Yes.
some maybe in terms of numbers, like
Yeah,
first
yeah,
we target for 100 people, then 500, then 1,000. So how we
yeah.
can make the targets for particularly building the brand?
Okay, thank you. So that's a very interesting question. I get this asked all the time. How do you measure the brand impact? And how do
Hmm.
you know what targets to hit? Because branding is slightly intangible compared to sales or marketing or
Yes,
operations.
intelligent,
Yeah,
working in the back.
yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
but for marketing, you can measure how many leads did you get? What is the cost
Mm,
per acquisition? What is the
mm.
cost per click and everything? Sales easy. Conversion rate, how much money did you get?
Yes,
So
yes.
when it comes to two things, one is brand growth and measuring brand impact. I'm going to share both of it. So, and this is my personal opinion of how I do it.
Mm.
Why, if you're someone who's starting your brand from scratch, okay, it takes 5 days to design your brand. If you're
Okay.
nobody right now, it takes 5 days to design your brand, okay,
Mm.
and it takes 6 weeks to launch your brand.
6 weeks.
It's like
Okay.
you have a brand. come up with a really cool. So the people I usually work with, they already have products. I'm not a kind of guy who helps people design products and everything. Maybe here, so but usually they have a product. That's the kind of people I work with. So after designing their brand for 5 days, for the next 6 weeks, they prepare to launch the brand. So usually on the 5th week, they do something called a trial launch and see how well their brand messaging is working. Are the customers resonating? What is the response, right? Has the engagement rate grown up? So after 6 weeks, it usually takes around 8 weeks to 12 weeks to get into a monetization cycle. Like
Okay.
when you're launching your own brand, it's like a completely different thing, right? I tell people, I don't care what you've been doing till now, start fresh. You don't need to carry on the old thing because it's not going to get results. Starts fresh. So around 8 weeks to 12 weeks, they start their monetization stuff. They understand, okay, I'm making this much, I'm doing this mistake, I can make this much money. So that's a third thing, like designing, launching, monetizing. And it will take around 1 year to familiarize yourself in the particular niche or domain. Okay, in 1 year, people start knowing about you consistently. If you put effort, it will take approximately 2 years to establish yourself as one of the authorities in that field. So these are the
Okay.
targets, like step by step: 5 days, 6 weeks, around 90 days, 1 year, 2 years. This is for
Okay.
branding. Now, how do we measure brand impact? I do it like this. First thing I talk is, you have a current price point, right? A lot of how I do is, I don't teach people how to get new clients. I mean, that's a part of it, but I teach people how to double, triple their existing service prices. How can you double it? How can you triple it with great branding? So that's the first measurement metrics. With great brand positioning, it gives you freedom to increase your prices, increase the investment which people do in you. So how do you do that, right? Okay, right now you're charging 20,000, right? Refine all the messaging, position you as an expert and everything. Okay, can you charge 50 or was it 45 for someone willing to pay 60? That's the first thing I do. Second thing is, are you building your communities? Because every brand has a community. Okay, that's the second measurement metrics. Third thing is brand assets. Are you building brand assets, something which can give you money even when you're not directly working for it? It could be as simple as membership. It could be like a SaaS software which you have. It could be membership to your, let's say, Karam Pal University which you have. Let's say a brand asset which you can build is Karam Pal University, and you don't have to record a single course there.
Okay.
You can get all the creators, let them put their courses, and you be the platform, the Karam Pal University, right? And the fourth is a brand campaign. What is a brand campaign? It's like a platform. What you're doing is like a brand campaign, the Karam Pal show, where you get a lot of people to your platform, right?
Okay.
And last but not the least, I call it as brand automation. Like, can you automate a lot of things in the brand, which is the latest thing I'm working. So these are the small
Okay.
small milestones we hit.
Okay, that's really amazing, and I'm definitely going to work on these milestone and the targets. This is so, yeah, I can say you made the thing simple for me. Okay, because I'm
Yes,
building the Karam show and then doing so many
absolutely.
things, and
Hey,
people in my community, like they are founders and they are. People
yeah,
who are making change, so they also will get help from this, they how they can position with the
absolutely.
story. So that's really amazing. So yes, you already share how to design your brand story. So please share how to design that story as well, because
Okay,
with the stories,
okay.
what points we can include and how much the analysis and the factors goes behind
Yes,
building the story.
yes. So what I'm going to share you is, I'm going to share the basic principles, because I have like a huge format to build a story and it would
Mm.
be hard to explain without slides. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to share three principles. The
Okay.
first principle is this: make your audience feel like a hero. When your audience is listening to your story, they should feel like, you know what, this is exactly what I've gone through. This guy knows what I'm talking about. And this guy has done what I want to do. And I want him to be my mentor or coach. I want to work with him and reach that journey. What most people do when they tell stories to build, what would I say? Boast about themselves. Like, I am good, I am this, I am that. No, no. The first thing is, they should feel like a hero. Don't make yourself the hero of the story. So if you look at great people's stories, their stories usually ends with, the story format is like this: The same 7 steps. Hey, I was this, I came from a poor family, I was struggling through this, I went through this hard journey, I found my mentor, then I found my success. And what I want to do is I want to help other people also to achieve success because I had mentors. Now I want to be your mentor. That's the whole framework, I
Okay.
would say, the approach of how they tell their stories. Okay, that's the first principle. Second, make it authentic, not authoritative. When you tell a
Hmm.
story, don't focus on building, what would I say? Don't focus on pushing authority. Focus on building authenticity. Okay,
Okay.
if you build enough authenticity and trust, it will automatically build authority. So especially while working with corporates, I come across this. Their stories, I ask them, tell your story. It starts like this. I graduated as the top of my class from this university. I was placed in the world's blah 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 company. For 4 years, I was the head and I was promoted to a vice president. That's where I did this project, that project. Yeah, it looks good on paper, but if you're building a brand, I don't know how well it's gonna sit with the general public. Versus I go to an entrepreneur, their stories are usually like this. Hey, you know what? I had this problem and whatever I did, I couldn't solve it, right? And after trying and trying and trying, I realized I need to change something about it. So what I did is I went to this person, I learned from this person, I learned from that person. I had my first failure, I had my second failure. For 7 years, I was stuck in a job, or I tried 4 business attempts and it all failed. And then I was able to figure the success out. And one fine day, I'm living my dream. I want to help people. I want to serve the world. This is the narrative of usually entrepreneurs work, right? Focus on building authenticity. And the third part, third pillar of building a story, which I always tell is make it as original and as simple as possible. Make it as simple as possible and make sure it connects to people. You don't need to make too complicated. Okay, saying that, so there are around 4 to 5 stories, brand story avatars, which each person can fit into. Okay, the first one is called rags to riches. The second, okay, I'll explain it. So, what is a rags to riches? So, rags to riches framework of a brand story is where there's a poor person from a very poor family. He struggles a lot. He finds a mentor, figures out a way to become rich. That's called rags to riches.
Hmm.
The, the second framework which you need to do is the quest. Okay, there's a person who has everything he or she wants, but they're deep inside, they're just not able to connect to their passion. They have a high paying job, they have money, but deep inside they miss something. So what they do, they take a jump, they find a mentor and finally discover their passion. This is the second brand story avatar which people can do. The third thing what I call is tragical transformation. It's like things are going everything in life and suddenly some tragedy struck. Let's say
Hmm.
close one passed away, or corona hit and the businesses had to shut down, or someone ripped you off in your business, or you had an unfortunate accident and that changed your perspective towards life and decided to help people, right? This is the third brand story avatar. The fourth brand story avatar, we call it as rebirth or transformation. It's like I was a bad guy, right? I used to launder people with money, and I was a very careless guy. I never cared. In fact, I ripped off money, I've cheated money, I've told lies. But one day this incident happened and I realized I don't want to do this anymore. Life taught me a lesson. Now I'm on the good side. Like Wolf of Wall Street movie, that dude would actually do illegal stock trading and everything, and then he became a good guy. And Frank Abagnale, he was a scammer con artist, but now he helps Google and all these people build security systems. So you need to ask yourself, which framework do you fit into and build that narrative around. These are the 4 frameworks.
Subhankar, yes. So I'm getting in my mind that can I fit, can I make all the stories, all four? And because somewhere I was, stuck in
Yeah.
life, somewhere I was bad guy, somewhere in my life, somewhere in the life. So I was relating to this, and I was thinking that I can make like all four. Is it
Okay.
good or not good or bad, or please share.
So okay, so it all depends upon a lot. Okay, that's a very good question. One thing is you don't need to like specifically pick this is it. You need to
Hmm.
have a main, like a primary framework, and you can add other elements of here also. A lot of it depends on your target audience. Let's say, for example, I am helping. corporate employees to build their businesses. If I go and tell them a narrative of I was broke, I built a business, they're not going to resonate to it. Versus I had everything, I had a high paying job, I had all the money, but I was not fulfilled inside. I didn't have a freedom. I was like a highly paid slave. You're going to resonate to that,
Oh,
right?
yes, yes,
Let's
yes.
say I work with individuals, and I don't do corporate trainings much, and I work with corporate individuals though, but a lot of whom I work with are passionate entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, service providers. If I go and tell them I had a high paying job, I quit it to help people build branding, they would be like, oh, what do you know? What do you know the struggle? You were in a good job, you made money, you saved it, and you came out, right?
Mm.
So here I need to use the rags to riches, and I am a rags to riches story, right? And let's say, for example, I am teaching, let's say something like, let's say I am teaching former prison inmates to lead a life outside. Let's take an example. There are some
Mm.
people who do, they go to jubilant homes and teach people, right? If I go and tell them a story of rags to riches, no, not gonna work out. Versus, hey, I was also a bad guy. I thought my life was all of this, but you can
Mm.
change out of it, and boom. And let's say the fourth part, let's say some people work with individuals who have severe emotional trauma, or physically disabled people, or people helping people cope up with abuse and everything. For them, the best part is to resonate with them. Hey, listen, this tragedy happened with me also a long time, and also I've seen these people happening, and I was able to make my way out of it. I could show you also. So a lot of it depends on your target audience, who you are, and what kind of avatar do you want to build. Depends on your target audience and whom you're building a brand in front of.
Okay, so I am getting so many questions
Yes,
as
ask me.
Shubhankar. Yeah. So in my mind, like suppose that I have built I have figured out my audiences, and I made a one page plan as well, and then I decided to go for 1 year, 2 year to build the brand.
Yeah.
So how we can go about the marketing of that? So where should we go? How to figure out which will be the perfect thing for us, and how marketing goes behind that building that
Okay.
brand,
Okay.
because
Thank you so much. Yeah, for this question. This is a very interesting question. Uh, Honestly, I had this even after I started branding. I had this confusion. Where do you draw a line between branding and marketing? Because at some point, without even knowing, I had gone into the world of digital marketing,
hmm,
right? And I was like, no, this is not what I want to do, right? I was like, I don't want to teach people lead generation techniques, running ad campaigns and everything. I want to do only branding. And this is
hmm,
the part how it goes. Okay, marketing is taking the message to the masses.
hmm,
Okay,
hmm, hmm.
branding is deciding what the message is.
Okay, okay.
Marketing is taking the message to the people. One of the things of marketing is taking the message to the people,
Hmm.
and branding is deciding what the message is.
Okay, okay.
So, coming to, okay, design my brand after 5 days. What
Hmm,
do I do next?
hmm.
Uh, that's when you take your next 6 week, and each week focus on one thing. The
Okay.
first week, what you do is set up a brand vision. So I do this with all my clients. I was like, screw all the goals, whatever you've done. Tell me four things. I make them do four things. The first thing is to be list. What kind of person do you want to be? Because your brand is a reflection of you. Second, to give list. What do you want to give to the world? Third is to change list. What do you want to change in the world? Fourth is to create list. What kind of world do you want to create? This is the first exercise we do. This is like the foundation of like launching your brand, because this should be clear, right?
Hmm.
Let's say, for example, let's say Karam Pal show, we're building a brand. First
Hmm.
thing is to be this. We need to ask you, hey Karam Pal, what kind of person do you want to be and whom do you admire? You'd be like, I want to host a podcast like Joe Rogan. I want to host a podcast like, let's say,
Hmm.
Marcus Brown, MKBHD. I want to be like them. This is my
Hmm.
to be list. I'm like, awesome. Then I ask you,
Yes.
what is your to give list? What do you want to give to the world? It would be like, hey, I want to give people an opportunity to take out their potential, bring out their true inner potential. I'm like, awesome. Then I ask you, what is it to change list? What do you want to change in the world?
Hmm.
I want people to change the way they look at themselves.
Mm.
I want people to stop underestimating themselves and realize their inner potential. Last is to create list. What do you want to create in the world? You can say, I want to create this platform, a learning platform where anybody, no matter what they want, they can learn and bring out the best potential, right? So
Mm.
this is the basic of brand messaging. That's the first step. I call it making the, what do I say? Building your brand vision. Of course, we go in detail, 3, 4 points, but this is the first step. What you need to do after this is, okay, let me just recall for a moment. Huh.
Yes, yes,
Is,
yes.
yes, is you need to set up your avatar. We call it brand alignment. Okay,
Mm.
let's take your example. You are Karam Pal, the potentialpreneur.
Mm.
Okay, let's say you host a podcast called The Ultimate Potential. Let's say you host, let's say the first thing you have a designation, which is potentialpreneur. Okay, next
Mm.
you have a community, which is called Unleash Your True Potential.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
next you have a platform like a brand campaign. It's called the Karam Pal Show, and you
Mm.
create a tagline for it, something like the discovery for your potential ends here. Okay, then you
Mm.
create a university called the Potential Mastery University.
Mm.
Okay, then let's say you want to create your course. You create your own courses or you create your own products, whatever you
Mm.
want. If it's a course, it could be like, hey, find your inner potential. Let's
Mm.
say grow your inner potential, accelerate your inner potential, right?
Mm.
And then what you can do is create brand assets like, hey, the potential, let's say something like your true potential intensive, something
Mm.
like that, which could be a 2-day retreat. So this is what we call as brand alignment. Everything is aligned under that potential word. Complete alignment. Your community, your messaging, your maybe your Facebook group or whatever group you have, your products, your show will have a tagline, your podcast and everything. There will be complete alignment. You need to figure out this alignment part. Okay.
Okay.
The third step, what you need to do is everyone has products, right? It could be anything. It could be a course, you could be affiliate marketing someone else's course, or you could, your offering could be a membership, monthly membership to your newsletter or everything. We need to
Mm.
brand that, brand your offerings, brand your value.
Mm.
That's the third
Mm.
step.
Mm.
Then the fourth step, what we do is put it all together. Fifth week, we do a trial launch.
Mm.
Okay, we create compelling offers there. In the fourth week, we create compelling offers. Like we
First.
have a
Mm.
product, how do we make it into an offer? Fifth
Mm.
week, we do a trial launch. Sixth week or seventh week, after a week or so, we take a feedback and do the corrections and take it complete to the market. This is
Mm.
how we do it. This is a basic 6-step process.
Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, Subhankar, do you also use like paid marketing or something? As you said, you don't use, but
Yes,
are you using it? Because zero, if it is $0, then we don't have to use the paid marketing and other things. We just
yes.
go about
Okay,
the story sharing. Or where do you
okay.
share all those stories? Like not only the Facebook, LinkedIn, but where else? Or it is okay
Okay.
to launch on the Facebook or LinkedIn itself. So
Okay,
what
so
is
there are two parts to that question. First is, how do you sustain? I've asked this question a lot of times. How did
how
you
do you
sustain
sustain?
without
Yes.
spending a single rupee? Here's what I
Hmm.
did.
Hmm.
I didn't focus on selling first. I focused on building a community. The first
Okay.
thing what I focused
Hmm.
is on putting my message out, and
Hmm.
building a community, giving them
Hmm.
free value, and then transitioning into paid clients. A lot of times people approaches, you pay me money, then you become a part of my community. My approach
Hmm.
is, you become a part of my community, I'll give you value. If you like it, you can pay me the money. That's one
Oh,
thing I,
yes,
okay,
yes.
it was a complete reverse of a lot of people do. A lot of people have Facebook groups, but they're
Hmm.
not specifically communities. This is the first thing.
Hmm.
And one thing which I was really clear on, only for one exact year, I want to see how good I am and I want to build all my foundations. Here is
Hmm.
the thing, even though I've not spent a single rupee on paid ads, we have a lot of the backend systems, especially automated, couple of automated systems, maybe landing pages, Facebook
Hmm.
group automations, community automations, and I spent close to 1.2 to 1.5 lakhs per year on those backend automations,
Hmm.
right? So can you do without that? Yes, you can. Okay.
Hmm.
So the whole focus of my brand is on not focusing on the numbers, but on focusing quality.
Hmm.
Focusing on quality and building a community. So that's how we were able to sustain for 1 year. I told this last time. In the past around 6 to 10 months, like no, in the first 6 to 10 months initially, I just had like 12 clients, around 12 to 15 clients. However, each of them, anything between, each of them had paid a high ticket thing. So in 8 months, I had to find 12 people who paid me well. And all of them
Mm.
were in a community I launched my mastermind. So that was the approach coming.
Mm.
Now, the second part which you asked is scaling up. Is it only
Mm.
Facebook or different platforms? I struggled this for a lot of time, and I figured out what works. I call it the narrow, wide approach. And
Mm.
this is my approach. So when you're starting out, let's say in the first 3-4 months, be everywhere. Be on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, podcast, Anchor, Spotify, and put your first pieces of content with relevant
Mm.
hashtags and strategies. So what that actually gives is it gives you a lot of visibility.
Mm.
Okay. And after that, once you know what particular platform works for you, narrow down on two particular platforms. Like for me, it's Facebook and LinkedIn right now. I like Facebook because of Facebook groups. The whole Facebook groups thing is a different thing. Facebook group is the next new thing for 2021, and LinkedIn. Only two platforms.
Mm.
And once you establish enough, like you build enough traffic, enough brand on two platforms, then you again go back and pick up where you had left.
Okay, okay, okay. Yes,
So
yes.
this is the approach. Because what happens is, let's say in the first 3 months, you put out YouTube videos, Anchor, Spotify, you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook.
Mm.
With the relevant strategies, you appear on Google. You'll be indexed on Google like crazy.
Okay,
You'll be
okay.
indexed on Google. Your YouTube,
Mm.
if let's say someone Google Shubhankar Storyteller, my YouTube
Mm.
videos come up, my Anchor, Spotify, maybe HubSpot, Twitter, everything comes up. But if you go and look at the content, I haven't posted too much content in the past like 6 months, not too much activity. I'm focusing only on Facebook, on LinkedIn now. So
Mm.
why did I do that? I wanted to build enough visibility. I could just say, hey, you know what? People Google people. You can just Google me, right? That built
Mm.
authority. And
Mm.
then I came back to focusing only on Facebook and LinkedIn. And after we establish enough here, after a couple of months, we're going to go back again and pick up from
Mm.
where we started, YouTube, this, that, and everything. That's how I say.
Yeah, that's really awesome, Subhankar. Because when I put my name like Potentialpreneur, so everything I come first,
Yeah,
LinkedIn pages and others, so
yeah,
they are coming. So because I have put like this YouTube channel as well, LinkedIn as well,
yeah,
Facebook as well, other things I'm
yes,
doing. So many things
yes.
that is happening.
Now, for you to monetize, if I were you, I would be like, okay, it's awesome. I've built enough visibility. Where do I start monetizing? I want to pick two channels. I want to start monetizing on YouTube
Mm.
and on Facebook. I won't worry about monetizing on all the other sorts of. I won't focus on branding everywhere. Unless you can hire people and do all that stuff, just focus on one or two. Like only YouTube, I want to start with. Awesome, go all in. Let's say you have 50,000, 60,000, then you're like, okay, I've got YouTube now. What do I do? I would say, hey, come to my Facebook group also. Hey, did you follow me on Instagram? Then you could drive traffic from Instagram, right?
Mm.
And you could focus next on LinkedIn or something like that. So while the monetizing phase, focus on one or two. And then you can always focus on monetizing platform by platform by platform.
Okay. Yes, that is awesome, awesome discussion, Subhankar. Yes, very, very. I'm I'm getting all the pieces with me, and now I will connect all the pieces. So thank you so much for joining the discussion, and it was a pleasure discussing with you, Subhankar.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this platform, and you're doing an amazing job. I wish you all the luck.